Hello, hello. It is Sanaa, Chief Girlfriend and HR Girlfriend. I am on an impromptu live. I will wait for folks to slowly join me while I begin to prepare my brain for why we are having an impromptu. Hi. Let's see. I can see comments. Post your comments. Let me know you're in the building. I'm even going to invite a couple of folks in to join me. That might be really cool too, because I'm really just interested in having a little bit of dialogue. I've actually had a lot of dialogue about what's been going on, but I've had it within the community of HR girlfriends. Hi, Courtney. Hey, Courtney. Girl, where you been? Your baby is getting so big and beautiful. Awesome. Hi, Nicole. Alicia, Talisha. Hi. So, yes. So what are we going to talk about today? We are going to talk about Blackness. So, I have been doing a lot of interesting things this week around this race issue. Hey, Sabrina. Oh, I'm exhausted. I stopped crying in the shower in the morning, so I think I'm moving along very nicely. Miss you too, Court. So moving over along really nicely, because for the last 2 mornings, I've not cried. So that's progress, right? Totally progress. You may have seen, if you're in the HR space or seen me post some stuff. Hey, bro, my brother's in the U.S. Army. But see me post some stuff about an event I'm having on Saturday. And this talk is not about the event, because we have almost 400 people. So I promise you, I'm not here to promote the event. What I am here to talk about is the fact that I am Black. I am a Black woman. I am a Black woman who happens to be in HR. I am mourning. I am grieving. I am exhausted. I am tired. But even in that, I still have been making time to have conversations at a high and low level. I actually took a call today. I'm in an entrepreneurial community, and there was a woman from the Netherlands, white woman, who is awesome. Yolanda, if you're watching this, hello. She asked, what could she do? And I said, well, just have more conversations with Black people, but not fruitless conversations, and not the kind of conversations where you walk away going, oh, I had no idea. I need action. I wrote something on my Facebook page that says, as long as I still have family members that are older than my absolute right to vote, 1965, inaction is unacceptable. As long as I have family members older than my absolute right to vote, inaction is unacceptable. Period. I am a Black woman who has unfortunately had to be complicit in my career, because I, like a lot of Black people, have been in spaces where racist undertones, overtones, microaggressions, macroaggressions, and we have been forced to say nothing or jeopardize, real or not real. Maybe it's just a perception, but jeopardize our livelihood. The thing we work so hard for, the thing that when we were young, our parents told us, you work is 3 times as hard as the white kids. You don't get to do that. You have to do X. You have to do Y, period. You don't get to not study harder. You don't get to not have X, Y, and Z. And then not only study hard, but most of us have come from really humble beginnings. So you're studying hard and you're part-time jobbing it in high school and college, and you're juggling all these balls, and everyone goes, I just don't know how you do it. Yeah, right. You tired of code switching. I am too. And I am really grateful for this moment. I'm sad for George Floyd. I am so sad for him. I'm sad for every person who has ever died at the hands of something and someone racist. And when I say died, I really mean murder. We have got to call a spade, a thing, right? So anyone who has been murdered or harmed because of the color of their skin, I'm done. But I was telling you about a conversation I had today with the woman in Netherlands. And the thing is that it was just her and her other entrepreneur girlfriend. We had a great 30, 40-minute conversation via Zoom. And what we talked about was just the Black experience. They had no idea. Let me tell you some of the things I told them in this conversation that Black people will absolutely get. I mean, but, I digress. Being Black is walking into a store and feeling like a criminal as you walk out because you didn't see anything you wanted to buy. Right? God forbid they think you're in there casing the joint. God forbid they think you were in there to steal something and you walked out with nothing. Being Black is finding that when my state had the new eco-friendly save bag law, that or pay them 5 cents for the bag, I started bringing my bags, obviously, like everyone else, but I didn't want to put my stuff in a bag first. Heck no. I saw white people do it. But I was like, if I walk around and put my stuff in this bag and then walk around, you know the assumptions are that you stole that stuff or you want to, and you're just trying to figure out the way out the door. So I would get a cart like everyone else. But with COVID, I was like, no, I'm going to just have to deal with the fact that I feel like I'm being looked at for stealing, but I don't want to touch the cart if I don't have to touch the cart. I'm pretty sure white people don't have this kind of inner dialogue. Being Black is definitely not being awarded something, not being given something like a job to feed your family and to feed yourself, to further yourself. It's not getting an internship when internships are hard to get for anyone at any age, and to not get it and wonder if it was because somebody white got it, or knowing that most people just want to fill a quota. So if more Black people than necessary apply, which Black person do we pick? We just want to make sure we meet the quota. The Black experience is just one that is crazy. And I have been really, really trying to sort of center myself. I did a meditation for Black women yesterday. And we are going to practice that same meditation at the event on Saturday. But we have to honor ourselves. Right. Hold on. Kalisha, how about mediocrity being awarded and promoted? Oh, yeah. Let me tell you. And what's interesting is the way white America has indoctrinated us to actually be on their side. I know, like, if you can think about even one instance in your life as a Black person where you told your friend, maybe it's not, it is nothing to be ashamed of, but that's just what it is, right? It's like, no, some things are what they are. And even if you can't prove it, it doesn't mean anything. I've been using the example of when people say, if a tree falls in the forest, did it make a noise? Heck yeah, it made a noise, just because nobody was there to hear it. Have you ever been in the presence of a falling tree and heard nothing? So let's just assume, right? So just because you can't prove it doesn't mean anything. And especially in HR, organizations make us complicit. They really, really do make us complicit. And we have got to use this opportunity to stop being complicit. I am so emboldened and so feeling so powerful right now. I wish they would. And I mean that. I wish they would. Let me tell you, I'm as professional as they come. So I wish they would in the most professional sense, because depending on the venue, I'll see you like I need to see you. I'm not going to act like it's the parking lot, but I'm here to tell you I am no longer interested in being complicit so that I can preserve a contract, so that I can preserve. Because here's the thing. If more of us do it, then it becomes a non-issue, right? Remember when interracial dating was a thing and then it became not such a thing, or gay marriages, or being gay at all, or, being transgender, even though there are complexities still in those spaces, at some point it stops being a thing. right? There's a whole Pride Month now. It stops being a thing. And that's the biggest thing. Someone says, I was questioned, Nicole, I was questioned by an HR director on how did you get your master's degree? They are so serious. They are so serious too. And that's the part that's the killer, is that they're really serious. You know, like, what do you mean? How did I? I'm in a group of Black HR people, and they've been experiencing, some of them have been experiencing white guilt. And the experience that they'd be having around white guilt is someone offered this woman in HR $10, but it was more like, hey, can I buy you lunch? I need y'all to stop. I don't want your lunch. You're going to have to deal with how you feel about the fact that your folks are racist, even if you're not. Don't offer me to buy me lunch and you've never offered to buy me lunch before. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that. You know, I would rather you not insult me and just have a conversation with me. Acknowledge that you get that things are tense. How are you doing? Maybe it's really challenging. You know, I know that you're a Black woman and that's obvious, but you're also taking care of us here in the organization. How are you? Not, oh, I just wanted to buy you lunch. I just want white people to find constructive ways to create plans of allyship. Create the plan and then execute the plan. Let me tell you, white America, y'all are, look, execution extraordinaires. Y'all can execute all kinds of things. Ask Black people, we know. So I really want people to think about that. And I really want HR folks and anybody listening to me, get clear about your ask. When I talked to that woman today in the Netherlands, I was clear about my ask. I said, 30 minutes of my time, here's my clarity. You are to take this information and do something with it. That's my ask. My ask is that you don't hold this in and you clearly discuss this with other white people. That's it, right? And then together talk about what you're going to do. And during the call, I said to them, think about the minority businesses that you could patronize. Think about the fact that because you probably have blinders on, i.e., I'm not racist, you may not be as aware that you're probably picking the white guy to get your dry cleaning done over the Black guy or the Turkey guy or the Turkish guy because he looks like you and it just feels comfortable, period. And that is a level of consciousness. When you go to a conference, when we're back in conferences and meetings, sit next to some Black folks, sit next to people that don't look like you, get uncomfortable. Because let me tell you something, Black people, we've been uncomfortable a long time and we navigate. And you know what's funny is that we are so resilient as a people, so very, very resilient. But one thing we have to do is get our ask clear. What are you asking corporate America to do? Because let me tell you, I'm ready. I am ready to collaborate with my community of HR professionals on what is our ask of corporate America. We need to say, this is our ask, not some nice, neatly packed together diversity and inclusion document that we promise we're going to try to do, right? Like that to me is the biggest craziness ever. We're not going to do that. What do you want corporate America to do? And I've been thinking about that. I'm telling you now, if the only C-suite position you have at your Fortune 100 or 500 is Director of Diversity and Inclusion, we're going to see you. Black people don't have to just run the program that's been deemed leadable by Black people, because we're going to talk all about that. I love seeing my Black people progress and love even more Black women. Stop using them, corporate America, as tokens. That every announcement of a large corporation is a Black woman who's going to come and save your diversity devoid behinds. You guys to be kidding me. And then you set her up and you tell her, oh yeah, we're going to support you. We're going to do all these things. Right. But is your external messaging the same as your internal messaging? Because My biggest thing is that now these larger companies are employer branding and doing all these different things. So you're putting monkeys on little black kids in sweatshirts on commercials, and I bet you've got a black head of D&I at your organization. Everybody's got to start talking. My ask is that boardroom's got to get diverse, C-suite's got to get diverse, and I mean it, and I mean it, and I mean it, and I mean it. And we don't just say you're going to do it. What's your plan of action? Period. I don't care. You better. There are black people, brown people at all calibers. Nobody can say, I can't find the black person to lead us into the next level of success. Yeah, no, that's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. That's right. Get our ass together. What do you want? What do you need? And this is the time. You ride the wave. Let me tell you something. You know what really smart people, we always read these stories about what top executives do to succeed. And, they wake up at 5 a.m. and they exercise and they read 900 books a year. So, but what they also do is they leverage opportunity, right? Those who master the stock market and other financial venues or means or arenas, trust me, it's not because they're all exceptionally smart. I mean, they probably are smart, but a lot of it is capitalizing on an opportunity in a moment. If we as Black people do not utilize this moment to get our ass together, I'm not going to let it go by. Every community I'm in where there is predominantly white people or white people influencing things that occur in my space, I need you to show up. I need you to be committed, hands down. And we have to hold them to the fire. I just got off of a webinar with not that HR lady. I'm not that HR lady. I think that's what her name is. And she's a white woman, and she held a great webinar, and it was all about Sherm's recent response in this time of crazy. Let me tell y'all, I'm canceling Sherm. Like, not the kind of cancel where like I'm probably me. No, Sherm is done. And I'm going to tell you why. And, everybody gets to do what they want. And I've never been that type of person where you do what I do. No, you do what's best for you. Hands down, do what's best for you. Sherm has posted in the last 48 hours some of the most insensitive articles and tweets. Oh my, tone deaf. They are led by a Black man. They have a diverse membership base. Yes, Sherm was dead wrong. And see, here's the problem. When you're dead wrong, like that kind of dead wrong, but you're the only player in the game, you just hope your PR people are telling you, just hold tight, just hold tight. Where else are they going to get that? Where else are they going to do this? Where else are they going to do that? Listen, do as you may. I am not going to be willfully ignorant anymore. That's why I don't shop with Amazon anymore. I was livid when Amazon fired folks for protesting their rights for PPE and fair treatment during COVID. And then their VP quits and writes the open letter. And then all of a sudden, Amazon puts out commercials that say, oh, so they had this Spanish guy. And in the commercial, he says, I've been away from work with Amazon as a delivery driver since January because my wife or my partner had a new baby. We had a new baby. But now that I'm back, I've got all the PPE I need, and they are a great company to work for. No mistaken. Was he the only guy on paternity leave? Really? I know they intentionally picked a Spanish man. I know they intentionally told that PR-driven story about how amazing they were. And don't think they get it twisted. That's right, Tamika. HR Girlfriends, HR Support Center is better than Sherm anyway. Tell them, Tamika. Let me tell y'all, we have got to change the narrative. I am not interested in doing that anymore. And let me tell you, I'm grieving the loss of Amazon. I love them. Y'all, I love Amazon. Addicted like the rest of y'all. But I'm just not interested in being complicit anymore. You treat your people better. I'm in human resources. It's just like people, you know what's funny? I will say this. I do wish that sometimes I wasn't so busy trying to survive that I had the spirit of activism in the way that some of our white folks have, but they've had time to groom that, right? They haven't been trying to survive daily living and existence. And so they've had time to nurture that. I mean, growing up, give back, heck, we needed people to give us. So philanthropy isn't something that, I mean, it's not that Black people don't, because we do give back, but not in the ways that you see white people do, because they've had time. They've had time to accumulate and amass wealth. They've had time to do things, and that's it. And, you know, the biggest thing is that I don't hate white people any more than I did before George Floyd died. What I'm not going to do is any longer be complicit. And so I'm not going to be complicit. I'm in human resources. I say I'm about the people. As long as I'm on notice, look, you can't solve every problem. But if I'm on notice that a company sucks, I'm going to figure it out. Amazon is powered by small businesses anyway. Just look at Amazon, see which store is selling the product you want, and go buy it from their store. That's what was really happening anyway when you were ordering from Amazon during COVID. They weren't fulfilling much. Those things were being fulfilled by the actual company who has a store on Amazon's platform. Go there and spend your money there, period. I actually think about this one time. There was a Black dry cleaner across the street from this Asian dry cleaner I went to, but the Asian dry cleaner was cheaper. And I didn't go, and they ended up closing. And not that they closed because I didn't go. But I think about Tony's dry cleaning all the time. I do. I think about his dry cleaning all the time. And it makes me sad. Like I want to cry right now, because I didn't get it the way I get it now. Like, not just now because of George Floyd. I just didn't get it. I didn't get it. You know, I didn't get it in that way. And I get it now. I get it now, as in it's taken me a full-fledged, full set of experiences to get it. I work really hard for my money, and I'm okay. Like, I'm in a place where I'm cool with inconveniences, right? Like, but that's how I've set my life up. Like, I like instant, I like comfortability, I like all those things. But I also want to have a conscience, like I remember growing up, and when people would say, you got to look yourself in the mirror, I was like, yeah, you do, but you can figure that out. But now, as a full-grown, full-fledged adult, I need to look myself in the mirror. I don't have space to be guilty about what it is that I coulda, shoulda, woulda done, especially when I know better. People always say, if you knew better, you do better. Sometimes that's not always true. And the truth of the matter is we have got to make individual choices that end up creating a really big, wide movement. Individual choices, and not just calling out the company. I said to them in the webinar today that was held by this white woman, and interestingly enough, this white woman is pissed off at their response to this racial social injustice. And I'm like, well, what's the plan? What's your plan of action? But the thing about it is they don't have to have a plan of action. Before the webinar, I had already, so a week or two prior, Sherm reached out, emailed, said we canceled 2020 conference, so you can move your money over, and you can move your money over to the next conference in 2021, or you can go to, or you can get your money back. I was like, you know what? I'll gamble. Maybe COVID will be calmed down and I'll go. So I moved my money over to New Orleans. I'm telling you, between these last 48 hours, first of all, I'm canceling my membership, because if we're all honest, most of us, and here's what I know from insiders, name no names. Most of us don't use this anyway. Most of us don't use SHRM. There is a small population in the middle of America who don't have as many resources from employment attorneys and other resources and/or a lot of HR departments of one, which I get. And so so most of us use SHRM sort of liberally anyway. I mean, it's nice to have, but we'll use it if you're honest. I mean, that's just the truth. Their conference, truthfully, their conference, the best thing in my opinion, and this is not crapping on them because this is not, but I'm feeling like if you're not going, they haven't leveled up their content for us around conference content and material, but they keep charging us, and you're not at least going to support us during this time. You're not going to do that. I called them out on COVID. Tag Johnny Taylor and SHRM. How dare you put behind a paywall all of the information and the policies and the templates at a time like this when no one's gone through a pandemic before? How dare you say, if you pay us, we'll give you more access? Isn't that the time where even as a nonprofit, you say, listen, we know times are crazy, so we'll give you unlimited access for 7 days. Get in, find what you need, get a head start. No, they said, well, here's a couple of things we'll give you. Here's what we deem good enough to be free. But if you want the real good stuff, you got to go behind the paywall. No, that's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. You do not take advantage of people like that. And if their mindset is, oh, they're attached to corporations. Listen, everybody knows most of America works for small to mid-sized companies. So most of us are not working for Fortune 100, 500 companies. Not at all. You know what I mean? Like, do something. And so all I'm saying is I don't want them to fail. I want them to do better. I actually like going to my local SHRM chapter events when I can or when it's appropriate. And I love partnering with them. HR Girlfriends has partnered with them. I've actually done some things that are really cool with SHRM National. But that doesn't mean that I don't get to tell the truth because I'm afraid that this may ruin some future opportunity. No, I'm not going to be that person. I will continue to be respectful, but I'm going to say my truth. So they can't have my money. They can't. And they need more than a PR statement. And see, what's happening is we're all indoctrinated. Someone says something really well crafted, and then Johnny Taylor's going to get on video and he's going to say whatever it is he needs to say. No, they can show us better than they can tell us. What is your ask of SHRM? What is your ask? My ask is they stop being an ass and start thinking about the HR professionals. So here's the other thing that's sort of driving me crazy. I have no issues with cops in general. I do have issues with bad cops and cops that are rogue and cops that are ridiculous, and all that good stuff. They are so tone deaf. I went to their homepage today and they had an article featured with a woman of color who is, and I know her. She's featured in this article and her husband's a police officer in California. And the article the title is something like, how can HR support law enforcement and their families? What I thought, now I kept scrolling because I went, surely there's an article about how SHRM and corporate America can support Black in HR, Black people. I said, surely there is. Surely there's an article. Well, if I missed it, someone call me on my stuff and say I missed it. Say I missed it. Say I missed it. Say I missed it. And I'm cool with that. Like, I'm okay. Maybe I was going too fast and I scrolled past it. But what I do know is that I am not here for that. You know, like, we, the HR professional, or who SHRM is supposed to represent, everyone else is supposed to be secondary. You are the Society of Human Resource Management. You uphold us, the function of what we do to make our money to support corporations. You do not appease law enforcement for whatever reason and not write an article about how you're going to support Black people in HR. Man, listen, that doesn't make sense, y'all. Y'all don't listen. Everybody who's watching this, obviously, y'all connected, y'all get it. There is nothing they can say to me. Nothing. And I let COVID slide. I did. I called them out, just tagged some folks, Johnny, Sherm, like, not cool, not cool. Get it together, get it together. Um, and then I said, okay, we're all in panic. They've never been through a pandemic either. Don't be mean to them, right? Don't be mean to them. Not too bad. Nah, they are blundering. They posted something on 6-3, Denise. Well, Denise, are you saying they posted something about supporting Blacks in HR? Because if they did, Denise, or you're referencing something else, I didn't see it. Please post it because I am here for all of it. And all I'm saying is this: you work hard for your money. Nobody gets up to go to work for the sheer joy of it. We work hard in HR. We work really hard in HR. Heck, even mediocre HR works hard to maintain mediocrity. Let's just be honest. It is not for the faint of heart. Lots of administrative work, lots of people, lots of contact, lots of problems, lots of movement in and out. There's just a lot. It's a lot. But it's still the profession that so many of us choose, but we choose it because we love people and or business. And they made a statement against systematic racism. Where's my article? Sorry. Listen, look, I get that they made this statement, but they wrote an entire article and cited a Black. Listen, you think that woman is the only woman with a husband who's a police officer? No, they cited a Black HR professional. Yeah, today at 7-Eleven. You want to know why? Because not the HR lady. She came for them. I listen, we got receipts, y'all, like the tweets, all of it. She came for them. And so did everybody else. And so they had to. They are working overtime tonight. See, I want an organization to send me a random email about their position on racism before cancel their company hashtag is out. Period. Where is the article on the Society of Human Resource Management's page about how to support Blacks in HR? I don't understand that. I say, write the article about supporting law enforcement and their families, because some of us actually are HR for law enforcement. Some are HR for prisons. Some are HR in different environments. Write that. But you, at the same time, with that staff of yours, write a story about how you're going and are supporting the people in HR who are Black, who have brown skin. Where is that article? So your statement, because you got called out today and you saw not the HR ladies post about her webinar and you had other people posting, because trust me, Sherm has, let me tell you, I am huge. Everyone who knows me, I've been telling people I'm huge on technology. There are tools that companies like Sherm uses, and some of your own companies in marketing, to detect whenever their name is used. They stay on top of those things. The system, the technology tells them when their names are hashtagged, what their competitors are doing. They tell the system what who their competitors are. Even if they're not technically competitors, it would be like, if Sherm thought that I may say something on HR Girlfriends, you just tell the system, just monitor what HR Girlfriend says. If they say any of these kinds of things, then you alert us in the system, right? And that's just it. It's crazy, right? Atlanta is on it, but Sherm National is the head. And Atlanta is on it, yeah, but Sherm National is the head. It's just like your mayor in Atlanta, Keisha Lance Bottoms. She may have been on it and concerned about the people of Atlanta with COVID, but the head was the governor. And no shade on your politics, but some things are just humanistic. Like some things are just like, what about the people? And so I didn't plan on coming on tonight. I wasn't even sure what a public message from me would look like. But I'm just tired. I'm tired as a Black woman. I'm exhausted. I've got brothers, one who was just on here saying hi to me from Georgia. And, I'm tired. And so we as Black people cannot lose this opportunity. Do not let the lack of protesting and rioting, which honestly, some woman in my HR virtual talk this week said she wasn't going to call a Black woman, said, I'm not going to call it a riot. I'm not going to call it a protest. I'm going to call it an uprising. So I'm going to call it an uprising. And the uprising is going to look different. So the uprising is not the people in the streets every day, because that at some point has to stop. We cannot go back to where we are. Oh, hey, Allison. Girl, let me tell you, Allison, if you just joined in, I had said what my ask was, but I'm going to repeat it for all the newbies, including you, Allison. I love Allison. So my ask of corporate America is that they make their C-suites diverse. I don't care if you're a small plumbing company. If you have multiple management seats, somebody Black is available. Somebody Black is available. I don't care if you are a mid-sized consulting firm, somebody Black's available. Somebody Black is available. And that's just it. And I'll challenge you any day of the week that someone Black is not qualified. I'll challenge you any day of the week that someone is not somewhere in the world, period. My ask is that when you say you want diversity and inclusion, whenever some company makes a statement like, oh, we are committed and I'm ashamed that we haven't done so-and-so. Yep. Tell me how many people of color are on your board of directors. How many, right? How many people are on your board of directors that are of non-white descent? That's what you can tell me. Is your only executive position a woman of color, the chief diversity officer? No bueno. You've got to do better. So that to me is the bottom line. And your workforce. I remember when Jay-Z took over Tidal, and it was all those white people. And I remember, and again, like nothing wrong with it, but everybody was like, all right, Jay-Z, what you gonna do? You gonna hire some Black people? Because we do know there are Black people that can do these jobs, right? And he got a lot of slack for that, because even 2 years in, the workforce at Tidal really looked the same. And that's just it. Like we should be forcing companies, show us what your people look like. Show us, and not just your executive, show us what your people look like. Give me your diversity numbers, right? See, you know how, like, even with the presidential campaigns, the whole turning over your tax returns, that wasn't like our forefathers were turning over tax returns. That's something that started, way down years ago. And I can't remember the presidential campaign it started with. I'm not a historian, although I love history. But now every candidate is expected to hand over their tax returns. So ask them. You need to have on your About Us page a really pretty graph that tells us what is the geographic demographics of your organization, period. Don't skew the numbers. Don't lie. If you count that you have 5,000 employees company-wide, then you need to listen. You might need to pull those numbers and not use it by division, because it might get ugly. We have to ask them for that information, period. When you are doing a contract, let me tell you something, HR. Yeah, the EEO1 report asked those numbers. Absolutely, Josh. When you're about to do contracts with someone, I would ask, like when I do bids for my clients, let me tell you, I'm going to say, can you please give me information on your level of diversity in your organization? HR technology company. How many employees? And what's your diversity makeup? I'm smart. I'll figure it out. If you only have 25 employees, I'm not going to expect for you to have 95% of them Black, but we need some numbers. And so for me, that's my new way of being. I am not doing any requests for proposals, period. Right now, I'm working on a request for proposal for an organization because they're replacing their executive director. I wouldn't have asked that question prior to this social injustice situation at all. Now, those recruiting and staffing firms are going to have to tell me what's the makeup, and I'm going to ask for it in the RFP. You need to tell me your diversity numbers. What does that look like? Period. Because I want to know that even if I get a white recruiter, which I don't care. I want to know that you're an organization that when I tell you, listen, how is it you're going to hire an all-white organization with all the options in the world to help you recruit for an executive level role? They're not diverse, and you're going to tell them you want a diverse candidate? Is that what we're saying? I dare someone to tell me that there isn't enough room for Black people in these spaces, that we aren't now. Trust me, everybody's going to be fine. No one's going to go hungry and no one's going to starve. Period. No one's going to starve. We are all going to be just fine. So I have said a lot, you guys, like a lot. I didn't have anything planned or mapped out. I just want to go through some of the comments so I can see. So Mo says, ask one, demographic equality. The employment demographics should mirror or exceed social demographics. The same percentage of us in the country should be represented in the company, at least in all areas, including boards. I need to see diversity. So now and then guess what happens? When you first ask for the information from vendors, they're going to be like, oh, we don't have that information right now. Yeah, but I'm sure you can figure it out. You want my $50,000? You want my $20,000? Go get it. And once we all start asking for very reasonable information, we want diversity in our supply chain. So even if nobody else in the organization is asking, HR knows that we care. And then let's tell the rest of the company, we need to make that a part of our requirements. Once you start asking for it, they'll get used to it. They'll have it all ready for us. You know what I mean? And so we've got to do much better in that arena. Be clear about what you need. Be clear about what you want. And I'm not 100% clear on every ask. That's developing. These things that I'm coming up with now were things I've thought about over the last few days and last couple of weeks with all of this going on. But I bet you my ask is going to be refined. It's going to be all that stuff. You know, I've been too busy having conversations about what it means to be Black in America. So it's been really hard for me to formulate a full plan, but I'm on it. Brian Roberts question. Yeah, Brian, you have a question? If I am more qualified than someone of a different race, why is it that they get hired under affirmative action? Oh, Leanne, great question. Leanne, systematic racism says that by virtue of the person who's hiring more than likely being white, by our inherent biases and by the systemic racism in place, we had to carve out. It's not about you being more or less qualified than me. They'd never look at me, Leanne. They'd never look at me. Affirmative action said, look at them. And yes, you got to take them. Look at them. They are viable. They are smart. Do you know how many Black people have invented the things that you use every day? Stoplights. You know, all that stuff. Everything. Like if you think about so many inventions, we are a part of this fabric. We picked all the good cotton my ancestors did so that so that white America could develop a land that we would never have part of. So affirmative action is not about us needing a bone. I don't need a bone. I really don't. If it were fair and if it were just, then I wouldn't need affirmative action. Think about this. Laws are primarily passed by white people. I mean, Black people aren't like, especially when affirmative action was passed, Black people aren't like flooding politics. Well, one, because we can't get in, you know, especially big game politics, where Black people gonna get that kind of money to get into the Senate and the House. It's hard work for white people with connections and money. So we're already limited on getting into those seats. But affirmative action was created because they were pressured. White lawmakers were pressured to do the right thing. You can't make corporations and schools do the right thing unless you put it on the books. We don't have an equal playing field, period. We don't have an equal playing field. Black people make some white people uncomfortable. And that's just it. I mean, I wish we didn't need affirmative action, Lee. I really do, but that's not how it works. And for every white person that says they're not racist, there are four to show up and say otherwise. And sometimes it's the bias, right? Like, I want to talk about this concept of black on black crime, because, you know, that's also a thing that I've been talking to with white people this week, is about black on black crime. That is so that there is no such thing as black on black crime. Have you ever had somebody say that Puerto Rican on Puerto Rican crime sure is terrible? That white on white crime sure is bad. There is no such thing. No such thing. Why is it black people are the only race with a term coined for the crime that happens amongst people who live, work, play, worship, etc. together? Here's the thing. I love true crime. I love true crime. I love ID Channel. Give me a good season of Snapped. But isn't it interesting that those shows on those very popular channels about true crime are actually primarily white people? And it's interesting that those shows are primarily about white people, but no one says, whew, sure wish white people would stop pouring antifreeze in their husband's sweet tea. That's not how any of this works, right? So how is it that we can have full-blown shows about white people? I remember growing up watching Cops. Shoot, Cops was a lot of white people in Florida running around drunk, trying not to get caught by the cops. I didn't think to myself, oh, well, that sure is crazy. You know, like all white people are drunk running the streets, you know, like that's not how it works. We have been demonized in all arenas, demonized. And I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it anymore. I am no less capable of love than a white person. I am no less capable of anger than a white person, and all the other things that come with it. All the other things that come with it. So please, my ask of white people is when you see something, say something. And I'm going to tell you what you should be looking for. Don't let your friends say black on black crime anymore. Don't let them do that. That's not real. I checked the 2017 and the 2018 numbers on FBI.gov. I did that because I'd never thought to look. Like, that's not something that's not in my profession. It's not something I go to look. There were twice as many white people arrested that identified as white in 2017 and 2018 than black people. Now, the crimes broke down differently. So, you know, all of those crimes, how is it that a race can be arrested twice as much as another race, but yet we are like flooding the jails? I mean, we have flooding the jails. Read the new Jim Crow. Read the new Jim Crow, period. Right? Like, think about that. And I don't have to make this up. And really, you know, look, the FBI has been Republican for the last 3 years. So if anybody was going to tell fibs, it might be them. And it looks like they're telling the truth. Sometimes we just got to go digging. And I have to do this too. Sometimes we just have to go digging for the truth, for some answers, so that we can go. Don't let your friends, white people, please don't let them say black on black crime. Don't let your colleagues say it. That's not true. That's not real. That's not real. That ain't real at all, period. White people kill white people. Guess what? Y'all hang out together. Y'all live together. Y'all drink together. You go to church together. And as diverse as America is, we're not that diverse when it comes to who we live next door to. Generally, that's what it is. So when people go to kill, they tend to kill people that look like them. That's a human thing. That's not a black thing. So sure, white people may kill differently. I don't know, because I don't know how white people kill. I don't know. I don't even know how black people primarily kill. I'm not a criminologist. But what I know, stop saying black on black. That ain't real. Mo. Sorry, this was your experience. This reflects on the culture of your organization. Thank you for the courage to even ask. Yeah. And watch 13th on Netflix. Absolutely. Watch 13th. For those of you white people who are ready for the real raw, you can watch Hidden Colors. It's on Amazon Prime. I want you to experience it. I saw a lot of white people at the African American Museum here in the DC area where I live when they first opened up. So it was a ton of Black people, obviously, but it was a ton of white people. And I was wondering, like, do they get it? And there's a room in there for Emmett Till. They have visuals and audio. So you see the casket, you feel like you're there. It's the room that most Black people cry in the museum because of how sad it is. And someone posted in my Facebook feed, they said, yeah, so it's what's funny and not funny is that they think we're mad about George Floyd. We still aren't over Emmett Till. We still aren't over Emmett Till. You know what my other ask is of parents? Listen, if you're a parent, ask your school boards and your superintendents of your schools and you ask, and then tell them to ask those book publishers of those school textbooks, stop with the half truths. Do you know how disheartening it is to be a Black person? And I've only really learned my history since I've been an adult. Oh my God. Y'all, there are people I've discovered. There are people I've discovered that I was like, why didn't I know about them? But my parents and the people that raised me were too busy trying to survive. So they didn't have an opportunity to do all the things that the school was supposed to do. They didn't have that time. And listen, we were living in a time of Encyclopedia Britannicas. Remember that? When you were just trying to have the whole set. Remember when you couldn't find one of the letters and you had to do a book report? Mad, just mad. But, that to me is important. If you have children, if you care about children, because I'm going to do this. Where I live, I want to ask the school board, figure out what's the right way to go about it, and say, I demand that you figure out how all these politicians, I figure out how you support getting the truth in the books. Black people shouldn't have to wait till they're full-fledged adults to figure out. White people, and listen, more white people would be clued in, would get this if they were clued in early like us. And I try to explain to some people that Black people, we too are void. So a couple of years ago, I've told this story in certain rooms. I said a couple of years ago, I wanted to know who I was. Popularity of ancestry sites had come up. I was like, let's do this. I finally got on board. Now, the way my brain works, I needed to do my own test, right? I needed to do my own little experiment. So I chose 23andMe and Ancestry.com. And no, I'm not plugging for them, but that's my experience. And I sent those tests both off at the same time. And then I waited my 6 weeks or so and I got my results. And the interesting thing is that was the first time I had a sense of who I was, but yet I was still disconnected. It didn't mean anything to me for some strange, well, not strange, it's actually very clear that I'm from Nigeria and that I have blood from Benin, Togo. It just didn't connect because in Black America, the way we identify our origin is what state you from? Where your mama and them from, right? Which state were your family members stole from? Wait, which state did your family members get docked in and sold to? The final destination, right? That to me is the saddest thing is that, I tell people all the time, and I've been saying it a lot during these past few weeks, I've been saying, look, while as white people, if you're from Ireland, Scotland, Poland, whatever land you're from, you know it. You may not know everything, but you have a good sense of where you are. I don't have that. I've got North Carolina, I've got Georgia, I've got New Orleans, I've got Mississippi. That's all I know. That's it. That's really, really sad. And so when some white people say, well, just go back, go back where? This wasn't a voluntary trip. And if you don't appreciate the liberties of the US, that's so ignorant. That is so horrible. Nobody asked to come here. Nobody. Nobody. You basically stole a bunch of people, hundreds of thousands of people. And then now that we're unhappy, you're still trying to keep us underneath your foot. You now want us to go back to a land we don't belong to. Listen, nobody's trying to hold anybody hostage, because I get it. One white person said, I didn't do it. We don't insult our intelligence. We know you didn't do it. But what you're going to do, if you're really an ally, is stop the foolery, right? Like, is stop the foolery. Is stop perpetuating those things, because that's not okay. Like, stop perpetuating it. And so it's just been interesting to see who I am. I met two cousins. Look, they may be watching on my Facebook. I have my 23andMe cousins, Angel and Ricky, and it's so dope to meet people you would never have met that you're related to. It's the craziest thing. But it's crazy in a way, not like, oh, you're so-and-so's daughter. It's like discovering who you are, putting the pieces together, because nobody knows. Not a soul knows. Not a soul. And that is sad. And that is sad. So we are hurting. We are sad. We are mourning. And we may be mourning for a long time. Somebody died in our family. Some bodies have been dying in our family. And we've been expected to show up, to clean it off, jump on Zoom, take care of your employees, navigate. No, not interested. Not interested. I'm going to do what I signed up to do, but I'm not going to do it on your terms anymore. Right? So, like, inappropriate behavior is not okay. So if y'all need a pep talk to get your tribe together. Because what I do understand is a lot of people are going to say, especially, in Black people, we like, don't take it no more. No. I get that this is a lot for a lot of people. I get it. So if you need to build a tribe to make sure that you have the support you need to get going, then that's it. You build your tribe. I'll be a part of your tribe. We could do the whole setup. I'm like, I got you. Here's the strategy. I'll support you. Text me if you're nervous. Let's do this. Let's get it, because you can't be complicit anymore. You can't be complicit anymore. And so I'm going to continue to have these conversations, because I want to report on what I'm doing, what I hear other people doing. And I want other people to just get in, get in and support each other, and do not judge Black people. Please don't judge other Black people for not getting on the movement the way you're getting on the movement. We need to support each other, because everybody is not built the same. And some of us are more indoctrinated into the crazy of what this systematic racism has done to us. And so some of us need more pulling than the others. You get on board, because when your sister wins, when your brother wins, we all win. People have heard me say this. We author each other. And if you don't feel like you author other people, you're so wrong. I don't know where you've been living. Everything you do matters. It matters because it is a trickle effect. I've always loved sociology, the connection. I remember being in a sociology class in college and learning about Kevin Bacon, 6 degrees of separation, that at one point in time in Hollywood, you could connect every actor or actress to Kevin Bacon within 6 degrees. And it's called Kevin Bacon, 6 degrees of separation. So I always remember that. And when I got on LinkedIn and I got on Facebook, I'd always be like, oh, how does that person that I know also know so-and-so? I'm sure we've all had those moments, right? Or when people say, be careful of the bridges you burn, because you may meet people again. We author each other, period. And so if you don't feel that way, start soul searching. Start soul searching, because it's not just about your little unit and your little house. It is not. Everything you do and don't do matters. And so I personally have taken a stance with, quote unquote, white America, that I'm not going to be stingy with information. I know a lot of Black people have said, I'm not teaching them nothing. That's their right. And I'm fine. And you're right. Like, I'm not going to do any heavy lifting. But if I have a resource and my spirit calls me to share, then I roll with that. I honor my spirit. I honor whatever's happening inside of me. So if it says, share that link to that so-and-so, make that recommendation to this really misguided person. I had a beautiful conversation with a woman in the HR virtual chat the other day. She was sharing her story of, coming along and she was a white woman, having a Black stepfather, all this great stuff. But, she said the thing that a lot of white people say, I don't see color. Oh, every Black person knows that is like a knife to our heart. Don't say that anymore, please. Don't let your family and friends say it anymore, white America. You see color. You see me. You've got to stop saying that. Stop saying that. You see me. I see you. I want you to see me. There's got to be another way for you to either get real about race and the colorism or something, because that's not going to work. That cuts us to the core. And so if you don't want to insult a Black person, just don't say, I don't see color. We cringe. Am I wrong, Black people? I know, I don't want to feel like I'm speaking for all Black people, but I talk to enough Black people that I get the sense that I might be on to something. The other thing, because I'm over my hour mark, but I have got to tell y'all this. Somebody posted on my Facebook page, and I really want to share this. It was about, I'm going to tell you what they said. And this was back in May of 2019, this guy posted it. He said, professional attire, quotation marks, is systematic racism, but y'all not ready for that conversation. Professional attire is systematic racism. Professional attire is systematic racism. I'm gonna need that to sink in with y'all. As a matter of fact, I'm dropping a link right now. If anybody wants to join me in the chat, they can. I've just posted the link. You can actually join me in the live. I would love to talk, and I don't care, white, Black, indifferent. I just want, come join me, because like that hit me, right? Like, because as a Black person, I bought into that too. Professional attire is systematic racism. The problem with that is that who sets the standard? Like, in some places, my hair wouldn't be professional. It's the truth. My hair wouldn't be professional. And it's the hair that grows out of my head. It's the fact that states have to pass the Crown Act so that people of my color or with my hair type won't be discriminated against is ridiculous. It's crazy. Like, some things are just like mind-boggling. Like, how is that even a thing that you get to determine what professionalism is? You get to determine how my hair should be. You get to determine what's unkept and what's not. Those are your standards. And we've got to fix that. We have to fix that. And white America, we need you as allies. We need you as allies, period. We need you as allies, because we can't do it alone. We did not do this. So we definitely can't fix it solo. But after you get mad for us on our behalf, let's get together on our ask, right? So when you hear me say something, think before you just make it go away. Maybe that's really important. Have we considered all sides? Could that be construed as a racial thing? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of different things to consider in this full conversation. Wow, there's just like a lot of comments. Yes, Kalisha. Yes, right? Who sets the standard for professionalism? Tracy said just khakis and a blazer. Mo, I don't see color as in I am not going to discuss this with you right now. Let's move right along. Someone else asked on LinkedIn when everything first started happening. Sorry, guys, I got my professional light on. It's like really hot, but asked, yeah, is LinkedIn the right place? Is LinkedIn the right place to talk about race? Yeah, it's just white America's uncomfortable. And so we just don't talk about it. Let me tell you, as long as Black people know there aren't any crazy repercussions, we will tell you where you're erring. Just ask us. We are here for all of it. Here for all of it. It looks like Eileen Lambert's trying to get in, but Eileen, if you're trying to get in and you can hear me, you need to connect your mic and cam before you can get going on the stream. But I'll let you in as soon as I see it connected. But anybody else wants to join in, please join me. Like, I really want to have a really good, candid conversation around this. Cassandra, this is why I'm on a mission with Beautiful Black Princess. Harvard studies show racism starts early as 3. Yes, racism is early. Oh, I'm going to tell y'all a story. My mother said the other day, she said, I'm really glad that you've embraced your Blackness. But what she meant was, I've always been proud to be Black. That's never the issue. I just wanted to be successful. So I just put a heavy assimilation game on. I was not going to go to a historically Black college. I was not. That was just a no-go. And every time I visited my sister at a historically Black college, because we're only a year apart, she's 1 year younger, I was like, God, I'm missing out. The camaraderie was amazing. I don't know anybody from my university, the white university I went to assimilate, not a soul. She knows folks that she's still friends with and still like family with from her college. And not that that's like a thing for Black colleges, but there is just, I missed out on a lot of opportunities because I wanted to assimilate. I just wanted to be successful. I just wanted to not always be the little Black girl from Brooklyn. I wanted more for my life. And I thought I had to not be that Black person. And I am who I am. Like, I'm authentically me. I mean, most people, when they meet me today, you meet me in a year, it's the same me, but I haven't been able to stand in my truth. And so, hi, Eileen. Hi, I haven't been able to stand in my truths. And so we got Eileen on. What's going on?
Hello, ma'am. How are you?
I'm good. Who's the handsome person?
Let's say this is DJ.
I'm DJ.
Hi, DJ. Nice to meet you. You know how many people are looking at you right now, DJ? You on blast. A lot of people. So what's going on, Eileen? What you want to share?
No, I thought this was an awesome conversation and an awesome space to have this dialogue. I've been able to plug in a couple of times. I want to be more consistent with it, but this was just fantastic. And it's the right conversation, like points, right? Like that food for thought, like, it's just amazing. Like, so I wanted to connect and plug in.
Oh, awesome.
Just to be in good dialogue, because I think we also need this space. Like when I'm talking to other like HR professionals too, right? Especially as Black women, it's such a unique position to be in.
Yep.
You know, and it's like you're battling a couple of different entities at one time. Like you have your HR professional role and hat, but then you're also this Black woman who sees it from another angle. There's just so much packed into what we have to be responsible for. Yeah. And I don't think anybody ever takes a pause to like really think about the value we bring to the table. It's like it's always this constant like education for us, this constant like load we have to hold. So it's good to have this space to kind of like, okay, I'm not crazy. Like I am not the only one who deals and operates in this space, you know, so that's been amazing. Like, so I just wanted to give you some love.
Thank you, Eileen. And you know what? We're going to teach them how to treat us. Mm-hmm. I've been teaching advocacy in HR, independent of race, of a long time. Like, you know, I support women in HR and HR girlfriends, and we've got to advocate for ourselves. Mm-hmm. If it's too much, it's too much. You are not Superwoman. Stop. Right. Seriously. Like, and if you need assistance, like, listen, I know what your expectations of me are, but here's what's not real. Your expectations of me, they're not real. Right. And so there's so many multiple conversations in that. You know, they already feel like HR is not a profit center. So they're like, do more, do more, do more. So we feel like we're getting our money's worth.
Right. Yeah, and I think the biggest piece that hit home too, that I, I'm in the space of always challenging thought, right? Like we are in a support capacity, right? We are here to lend that ear, that advisement of sort, right? But it's also to challenge thought differently than people have ever. So I love that, like when you're hiring people, is that Black person always just the DEI person? Like you should be looking at the person who's your your DOO, right? Like
Yep.
who's your chief marketing officer should be a Black person. Like it's like challenging that thought to say, yeah, your organization is 75% diverse, but your board seat has one Black person on it, and she's the HR person, or she's the
Yep.
DEI like, so it's that, like, having that reflective point for our leaders is just the conversation I'm always in with them. So
Absolutely. Really- and your external game needs to be as good as your internal game. Seriously, like, how come it doesn't match, depending on what, like you say all the right things to acquire clients and to acquire business so that we can keep this ship going. But what are you really doing, right? Like, what's that really about?
Yep.
Whew, so much. Hi, Josh.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good. Oh, you're such a brave soul. I'm here for all of it, Josh.
I'm here to learn. I mean,
I love it.
No, for me and for my family, it's a learning opportunity, and I hope you will bear with me as I'm trying to learn a thing or two. Okay. I'm one of the only white people that live in a predominantly Black neighborhood. And
where do you live?
I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay.
And I've been in HR and HR tech for the majority of my career, 20 years. And I can't imagine living anyplace else. My family raised me on a farm in the middle of white America, and it was probably the best and the worst thing that they could have ever done for me. We live in a super diverse area, and it's the best gift that I could have ever given my kids. Absolutely, 100%. I've been discriminated against because I was white in a Black community, and I know that all of us can do better together. I've been here for 15 years. I don't plan on moving. It's just part of who I am, especially now that I better understand my neighbors and everything that I bring to the table now, and what they have done for me. And in working with HR, and I don't know you, I don't even know how to pronounce your name, to be perfectly frank, but your message,
don't worry.
Your message resonated so much with me tonight. And I just wanted to thank you and spend a little time trying to better understand how a white dude like me and a white family like us can better amplify our voices and better understand some of the things we all need to be taken to school on.
Yeah.
Because I know I'm weird, right? I mean, I'm not in the middle of rural America anymore. I haven't been for a long time. And with all this stuff happening, I kind of don't know what to do. So I'm hoping that you can all kind of help me be my guide and help me and my family understand what we can do to best help and how to best amplify our voices for justice and equality.
Absolutely. I know what, so having a white person in our Black neighborhood, all that is we don't trust you. And so what's the deal? Like, what are you doing here? Right. So Black America has a hard time, maybe not individuals, but maybe if you ask for an overall theme, it's what's the white guy doing here, right? And you've been there 15 years, and I bet you now have a level of movement throughout your own neighborhood that makes it just fine. You're Josh and the white family, and that's okay. But just know that our lack of trust is not because anybody was born with a lack of trust. Like, not a soul. I used to have a real case of inferiority around white people.
Is it weird for me to say that sometimes when I go to the store, that I have an inferiority complex because I'm around Black people?
No, that's your
Because
truth.
yeah, I think that that's what you just touched on, is that thing that the majority of white America doesn't understand, because they're not where I am, and they don't understand that there are vibes on both sides that I wish they were where I was. But go on. I stole your thunder. You had been going on and on,
No, it's
and
fine. No, this is dialogue. Like, cut me off and drop your
Yeah, and
point.
I actually have a thought to add there for you too. What's
yeah,
amazing is that you could recognize where you have, a deficit of sort, and that's, I'm just using that word for lack of a better word right now.
yeah,
I think what we need to see as, as Black people, right, and you supporting us and being an ally to us, is that you truly and authentically get it, and that you actually can recognize, where you need, like, how are you using your white power, for lack of a better word, too? Like,
yeah.
how are the Black people in your community seeing that you hear them, right? Like, an amazing book I read that I don't know if you've ever heard about, is called White Fragility, right, by Robin DiAngelo. And I love the concept of it. She has some podcasts on it too. I think she has a couple of TED Talks on it. Sure. But it talks about, like, the things that, white people don't recognize in themselves that can frustrate us as a diverse population. That
Sure.
conversation about us always having to figure it out for you, so to speak, it's tiring and exhausting for us. But we do need to make sure we keep ourselves open to the conversation, and, those of you who are looking to help us. But I think it's you first recognizing where it shows up and where you can use your voice. Like, I think if
And that's
people,
but that's the irony, right? Is that I'm totally coming kind of hat in hand, and I think that the majority of, well, I can't say that. I think a lot of white people would do better if they knew how, and no one teaches us how.
Mhm.
So you guys have to teach us, and I don't know. I struggle because my going back to my neighborhood, right? I mean, these folks are I mean, I love them and they love me, and it's all good. It's a beautiful situation, and it's the way it goes. My kids are great, my neighbors are great, but what no one is able to crystallize, I believe, for white America is, first of all, they don't understand Black history. They don't understand. They don't remember the journey over, and the heritage, the roots that everyone came from in the Black community. They don't understand that you all were stolen from your homeland, and they don't get that. They don't even remember here in Indiana. I mean, literally, the state means place of Indians, right? The white man came and trampled all the Indians, right, and stole the land and the forest and everything. And so there's that contingent group here. What we're not really clear on is somebody like me who's open-minded. I'm an internet guy. I am not an HR dude. I've sold to HR folks the majority of my career. I build tools to help people get to work. And the majority of those things are compliance tools, which is like smacks to diversity and inclusivity and everything else. If they had moved the needle at all, I wouldn't be seeking out a voice to learn a thing or two, right? The problem is the tech doesn't work, the business doesn't work. The message that's being sent right now into the white community is a little bit lost, I'll be honest, because of the smashing and the violence and everything else. And I think that there has to be a clear and concise way for white folks to better understand what Black folks are after. And I'm just going to call it what it is. It's a big, huge, giant, like, now in 2020 United States, there's a hell of a lot of folks that want to do something better and different, and they don't know where the F to start. And that's where I'm trying to learn. And I think that there's a lot of folks probably behind me that I can teach. So the best thing, I'm coming to you, is trying to learn what we all can do better, whether it's in HR or whether it's in HR tech or whether it's just on people I know and love, and I can communicate this message back to the folks in the country where I came from.
Right.
So there are a couple of things. There's some comments that are saying, Josh, and so here's where there's a okay. We're going to challenge you in love, Josh.
Sure.
Challenge you in love says that it is not one's responsibility to teach you how to treat them. There's a basic level of humanity that you may possess, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But there are some implicit biases that even you carry as someone who lives in a neighborhood of Black people. And we have had trust issues with white America. And it's not just on you to now crusade in your Black neighborhood to be the catalyst for that. But every interaction you have with someone Black can make a difference. The other part is that when you go to another country and you don't speak the language, you don't ask them to teach you how to treat them. When you're interested in something, you figure it out, right? You read up on Italy before you go. You read the history. You do all of those things ahead of time so you're prepared to endeavor. The problem is that we are all thrust into the US of A, and we have a level of comfortability that we don't have to. There's so many levels of superiority that even overall Americans, like Americans are horrible at geography. Horrible. I'm included. Ask someone from another country, including Africa, their level of geography knowledge. They can point it out on a map, close their eyes, tell you what country. And so for me, if I want to do better, no one has to teach. Like when I came into HR, I really wanted to learn it. So I figured it out. We're always constantly asked to learn how to speak to leaders, how to do this, how to communicate, how to do it effectively, how to blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Listen, life is a learning lesson. And so there are a ton of resources. It may not feel first nature for you to go to those resources because they are, quote unquote, for Black people, but they're not for Black people. They're really for you too. And I think one of the biggest things is you don't like to read, listen to Audible. Perfectly fine. Watch YouTube videos. There are some really good, truthful things out there. I don't care if you start your education by looking at some documentaries, whatever tickles your fancy. If you can understand the origin in a deeper way, you'll get it. Because let me tell you, trauma is genetic. You know how people say, how is it that if you come from a family of people who abuse alcohol and you weren't raised by them, but somehow you end up being an alcoholic? I just believe it, like prove it otherwise. There's studies that say it is and it is not. Trauma is genetic, and our DNA has memory. We are traumatized. My mother is not even 65, and she's older than the right to vote. My mother was born in 1958. So the problem I have, Josh, is when you hear that my mother is still alive and she's older than my right to vote.
Yep.
She's still alive, Josh. She's still alive, and she's alive and well. And so that is the inconvenient truth. The inconvenient truth is that, and in order to get the right to vote, a man and a lot of men and a lot of women had to die. And it's crazy because we didn't ask to be here. Look, it's it's like constant retaliation for not being able to continue to enslave us.
Right. I mean, and that's okay. So for my reality, no one has, you have to understand, growing up in the Midwest United States, no one ever came to us in history class and told your story. And I'll be the whistleblower. I'll be the one out there saying, this is why I'm asking the questions, is because no one taught us shit.
Nobody taught us either. So here's where it gets interesting, because I don't know if you heard this part.
Right.
Josh, what if I told you that technically your deficit is my deficit?
That's right.
The problem is that is the inconvenient truth, is that I'm forced to dive a little deeper in areas because I carry the Black skin. And so therefore, even if I want to run away from it at periods in life, you come right back to it. You're always going to be Black. So you might as well know your story and your history. And everyone has a yearning to have belonging. Belonging. They've done studies on it. Belonging is important. It's why we care. It's why we want to connect, even when you don't want to connect because you've got emotional disconnect issues. There's still some part of your brain that desires connection. And so the biggest thing, Josh, is we didn't learn it either. And so we really have been at a disadvantage. And so the way Black people learn their history is like me. You pay a white company to tell you where you got stolen from, which is what I did. I paid Ancestry and 23andMe. And you read. I'm so sad that I was a full-fledged adult before I knew who James Baldwin was and his bodies of work. We have amazing inventors and creators in the Black community. We have such rich history. And I know you didn't learn it because neither did we. And then when they gave us February, that was supposed to wrap it up, Josh. You know that, right? Like that was supposed to wrap it up, except they won't get past Martin Luther King.
Well, why do you need a month?
You got to ask your white folks, Josh. I mean, I'm being honest. Right. That was a peace offering.
Yeah.
After King died, that was like. So listen, all of MLK Day, peace offering, like February, the shortest month of the year. You think that's by accident? No, I'm sure they looked at the calendar and said, "This seems like a pretty good month." You know, like honestly, Josh, I don't know, because probably most of the people listening to this conversation and are a part of it weren't a part of the decision-making process. That just
I keep forgetting that there's probably our peers and everybody else on here, and I kind of don't give a shit.
No, it's okay, because you know why? In professional settings, we do ourselves a disservice when we're not this honest. Josh, do you know what this conversation has done for me in the last hour and 26 minutes?
You know what it's done for me? I mean, this is crazy. I'm so thankful that you've decided to put this on. I was flipping through online, whatever, and here I am on a camera with you. My wife, I told her, I'm like, I'm going to get on this camera and have a discussion. She's like, you're crazy.
Oh, tell your wife, say hi.
Like,
tell her, come say hi.
She's like, come downstairs, hang out on the couch, pray that the world's woes go away. And here I am. And it goes like this, right? I'm just trying to learn. I can't get it all. My neighbors, my friends, they're all fantastic. You know, my friends, even down in the country, I think they're all awesome and fantastic. It's just that their lens is super narrow. I think everyone's lens could stand to be expanded just a little bit wider. I'm an old hippie. I believe that kind of everybody should just be cool and just get along. I know that's altruistic and maybe a little misinformed, but for me, I think that, you know, the world would just be intrinsically a better place if we all at least listen and try to be cool. That's just me. And, you know, I see all these people, I see everybody fighting and in all of it. And I see it and I want to understand it, as opposed to making a judgment saying, oh, that's stupid, or, oh, that's this, or, oh, that's that. And then clicking off the TV and turning it off. I'm like, all right, there's a national discussion happening right now. This is the fabric of our society. And I don't effing get it. I better click into somebody who's talking about it. And you just happen to be it tonight.
And be kind to yourself. I mean, listen, because the truth of the matter is it's a process. But what you don't have an opportunity to do, unfortunately, white America, is you really can't sleep on us now, because now this is, some people call it a turning point, a tipping point. We are not going back. We're not going back.
And Josh, you're probably, just hearing you speak, you're probably not the issue for the Black people that are in your lives, right? Like you real talk are probably the exception. You're probably like, Josh is good, he gets it. Like,
yeah, he's
he really
cool.
wants to learn. But Josh, unfortunately, you're one of 100 that who don't get it, right? So the issue's not with you, but your heart is reaching out to us. Our heart is broken for the other 99 people that don't get it. That once we're done interacting with you, we still have this other part of your race that does not get it. So I would encourage you to say, what are the conversations actually that you're having with your white counterparts, right? Like, what is their viewpoint? How do they see the world? How are they impacting the Black people that are in their life, right? Where have
They don't have
impacted
that's
somebody?
that. So you hit on something, and I hate to interrupt you, but
No,
I want
by no
you.
means.
I want So I want you to go back to something so you can teach me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So white folks hang out with white folks most of the time. Okay, I'm kind of the weirdo that decides to live amongst Black folks and hangs out with Black. I hang out with everyone, and a lot of white folks think I'm a weirdo, right, for doing that. And I think that sucks, but it's my reality. So if I have to go back and shepherd a white community in Indiana, or if somebody maybe goes back and hears this recording, my full-throated response is going to be, I'm willing to bet that even a lot of diversity and inclusion folks are locked up in McMansions and gated communities that don't even understand what it's like to live in a Black and brown community. They don't understand what's on the hearts and the minds of the community at all, or what it needs and wants. Because I'm part of that community too. The irony, right? Because I'm a white dude. And for me to take what you suggested, which is go back and maybe minister in a way to the white folks in my life. I think not only that would that fall on a deaf ear, I think that they would think I'm absolutely nuts. And that's the most heartbreaking bit about this, is because if I advocate for Black America to the white communities, white rural communities, they'll think I've lost my marbles.
Well,
Right,
tell
but
them,
therein
Eileen, we don't want you out there evangelizing. That's not at
Right.
all.
But you
Well,
know what I'm
no.
talking about.
No.
You know what I'm talking about, though.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Swaying hearts and minds to why this is happening. The reason why people are pissed off, and the injustice that happened with Floyd was just a tipping point, right? It's that, white America sees this way differently. They're like, oh man, thugs are coming in and ruining all the shit we like to go do, right? I mean, they don't understand that America watched a man die on the news, okay? And it happened at the hands of a cop that is sworn to police and be fair and everything. The white community out there does not understand, at least where I am in central Indiana, white rural America in central Indiana does not understand your plight. And I don't know how to message back to white rural America on why it's so meaningful to the Black, brown, African American community, and why, because they've never been mistreated, which is the whole definition of white justice, right? Or white privilege, right?
Okay, so
I mean,
Josh, for 1 second, I want Eileen and then Tamika to just help you in that moment. So what is Josh supposed to do in his interactions and communication with other white people when this topic comes up or when it's appropriate to be discussed?
I have my thought. Tamika, I feel like we're talking a little bit. Do you want to start?
Tamika, we can't hear you, girl.
I can't hear you, Tamika.
Oh,
I want to.
No, I don't have her muted.
Hold on a second.
No, that's okay. So go ahead, Eileen. Go ahead while she's figuring it out.
Yeah, I think Josh, welcome to our world, right? Like, how do we have the conversation with a bunch of white people who don't get it, right? Like, that is actually the frustration being a Black person in America, right? That what happened this past couple of weeks is not new for us, right? Like,
right.
This has been happening my whole life, my parents' entire life, my grandparents' entire life. The difference is it's just been caught on camera, right? It's don't stop having the conversation. This is not new. This stuff has been happening for eons. Like, so this is not new for us. So it comes across like, oh, this is happening now in America. No, this has been happening, right? What you need to continue to do is to continue to have the conversation with your white counterparts. If you could catch one, that's one more than you caught the other day. I'm not
Okay.
asking you to change the minds of 200 white people, right? I'm not even asking you to change the minds of 50 or even 10. If you could catch the one, right, that can make the difference for hundreds, because if you don't know who that one comes in contact with, you don't know that if you shift the mind of that one person, what mind they might shift as they're paying it forward, right? Like, so I think you start there. How many times have you invited somebody in your white circle into your world, you know, at home, right? How many times has it been, come over to my, no, I mean, because
No,
sometimes
they
you don't
love.
really
Yeah,
understand.
it's so funny. Like all the time, and they roll up to my crib, and they're like, "Man, you got a sweet pad," and they're like, "Why you live in the hood?"
And do they
And,
meet your neighbor? Do they meet your awesome neighbor next door? Like, do
No.
they taste Auntie Jean's apple pie down the block? Do they see your
Yes.
daughter, you know,
you
playing with
know,
your neighbor's daughter? Like,
but see, the thing is that all of those terms, and see, this is where education comes in, Josh, right? It's sort of like how I broke down why black on black crime is not real. The more you dive into information from multiple sources, you will
yes,
begin to get armed with all the right things to say. And even when you don't have the right thing to say, you know, you're hearing something off kilter, you know,
right,
you're hearing something out of pocket. And so it's like, yeah, you got receipts for that? You like, is there evidence for that? Like, I mean, even if you challenge people, go, I mean, I can't prove you wrong, but can you prove
Right.
yourself right? You know, like sometimes you just got to ask people good, solid questions. I learned that when I learned how to coach for real. That was it. People solve their own problems. How it works is you ask good questions so you make a person think. And that to
yes,
me is the most important thing is I mean, because I've said this to people. I mean, I'm not a historian, but that seems a little off. Where'd you get that one from? You know, like even the coining the term hood. Stop it. It's crazy. You know,
right,
like all of those things were designed keep us disenfranchised and to keep us down as Black people. And read the history on hoods and the ghetto, you know, like all of that built by the white man to keep us all neatly packed away into the same area so that they could live in an existence where we weren't bothering them.
right.
Because
And
what
The
are they going
the
to do
inter
with us
the,
now that we're here?
yeah, the interesting thing, and thank you for. Let me write that down because that is. I didn't know about that. I live in an area of Indianapolis that used to be super affluent. Like back in like the mid-century, it was like doctors and lawyers and stuff. And then when white flight, you know, happened out to the suburbs in Indianapolis, right? It's like this one of these ring cities that has a highway around it. And it used to be that the urban center was filled with black and brown folks, right? And then they were condensed into this metropolitan area.
Mm-hmm.
And the white folks lived on the outside and commuted into work, right? Well, now, you know, after 1999, 2000 .com boom, everyone started flooding the cities again, started pushing black folks back out, right? And they are pushed back out to the neighborhood where I lived in. Or I'm sorry, they lived here before me, but it was this weird generational shift where it was, you know, it's a long story, but the evolution of where I live is now it's absolutely a perfectly diverse enclave. There's white folks, there's gay folks, there's brown folks, there's black folks, there's everything. And I'm like living in diverse utopia, right? It's weird.
Well,
And
let me
I
say
never
this,
knew,
Josh. I'm so
and
sorry, but let
I never knew about hood before you just mentioned it. Like I really didn't.
but who's to
Um,
say you live in a hood, Josh? Like, who
right, like
defined that for you?
who
Because what I
defines
would
that?
do is pull up a realtor app and be like, but my neighbor's house costs more than where you live. Like, who's defining the hood too? Because what he's
the
saying
hood
is
is
like,
defined. The hood is defined by white folks in suburbia.
So
No,
listen,
the
here,
hood
so
is the
here's,
white
so
people define the hood sometimes as that's where the black people are, but that doesn't mean that's the hood either. Like, so it's also languaging too and accuracy.
absolutely. So here's the thing, Josh, right? Is here's some of the takeaways that I think are going to be super helpful is you do not make this the last conversation you have
Oh,
with
hell
black
no.
people. And I want you to know this, that the truth of the matter is someone said gentrification. Because when you said, oh no, it's a long story, I'm like, you the black people know about gentrification. We know about getting kicked out of some neighborhoods so the white folks can build. But see, and this is what I want HR to understand. In your organizations, if you're going to talk about diversity and inclusion and all you want to talk about is employee resource groups and all you want to talk about is the fluff stuff and all you want to talk about is whatever makes the news, that is terrible. Here's what I say to you. If you have an office in a gentrified neighborhood and you're taking advantage of the new landscape of your town or your city, examine the addresses of your family, of your employee base. Can they afford to live near the office? And isn't that a problem? Let's not just call it it's just nicer houses out there. People just like to live no. Who doesn't want to live close to the office? There are people that are going to choose to live where they want to live, but I need you thinking about what is the impact of race in the lives of your employees. I said this when COVID happened. COVID was going to change the way we HR because it is no longer just business as usual. Let's just address whatever hits company level. Let's stay out of your personal life. No, I was telling people during COVID, listen, you may be employing your folks, but they may have had wives and husbands and partners and roommates that have lost jobs. So you need to give them resources as if you know that they have other things going on in their lives except your job. Tell them about the unemployment process in your state if you heard anything new or different, if you've gotten any information, because it is bigger than just the people you employ. I keep telling y'all, we author each other. And if HR doesn't get it, we're going to have an uprising of employees. They all going to be union on y'all. I need to tell you. The biggest thing is that we have got to think differently. Someone I was talking to today, an amazing spiritual healer advisor, said, this is new. Like, this isn't like a reincarnation of another time. She said, listen, everybody's been asking to work from home, and as awful and as gut-wrenching as COVID is, you got what you asked for, right? This is new. What are you going to do with it? What opportunities are we going to take to make what we've been given that we didn't choose better? Or are you just going to go for the ride? Are you just going to ride the wave of the things that are occurring in the world around you? I don't want to ride the wave. So my goal is, how can I make it better for the people that I impact? So I'm thinking about the employees that can't afford to live near the office in the gentrified neighborhood that we now have our headquarters or our satellite office. I'm thinking about the way we structure benefits, and do we care enough about the whole person? I'm thinking about, when I tell somebody bring their whole selves to work, do I really mean it? It's okay not to do it. What's worse is when you say it and then you show them you don't mean it. Just say, we like 75% of you. Bring 75% of you to work. That's it. Just say 3/4 rule. Be honest with your employees. Be honest with leadership. Be honest. This is our time to clean slate. We get to clean it. We get to say, oh, we had this pandemic. We have this social injustice happening. We get to clean house. And if we don't get with it, we're going to have problems. So, Josh, when you talk about gentrification and the movement of white flight, we get it. Because if it wasn't us, it was our family members.
Yep.
And the worst thing you have to understand about Black America is the way all of us are grieving, and none of us, the majority of us, are not related to George Floyd. Let me tell you, when it comes to racial injustice, we are family. So when something happens to somebody somewhere else, I feel it. I feel it in a deeper way, because oppression will make you feel connected in a way that you'll never understand, and that's okay. But to me, the most important thing, Josh, is that you continue to just listen and ask questions and be okay with whatever the heck the answer is.
Yeah, I mean, how do I put this? My great 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 granddaddy probably messed a whole hell of a lot of things up. And now it's time for my generation and my kids to pick up the pieces. That's it. I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know what else to do except go back to my old hippie ways, hope for a better place, try to minister and shepherd folks in their thought process to a new and better way, at least white folks. I mean, I think that it's weird because white folks, when they feel oppressed, it doesn't, and I don't know this, right? Because I'm not black. I don't know what black oppression feels like. I can tell you what white people, when they feel oppressed, what that might feel like, or what I think it might feel like. I've never been oppressed. I
feel like white oppression is an oxymoron.
I was just about to say that.
So can I
Isn't
just
that
say
crazy?
no, I just want to say this to you. So it's also, remember, people keep saying language. White America is going to have to check their vocabulary. White oppression is an oxymoron. It's not like, it's one of those made up constructs, right? Because you got to define oppression. And if you can use oppression with black people, can you really use it with white people? Now, I'm not saying.
So it's all about context, right? Which is, and if we're going to have a dialogue between races, it goes like this. I'm going to tell you what white people think, and you're going to think it's jacked up, but I'm going to tell you anyway. All right, without a filter. White people, they think oppression is if they can't do the shit or get the shit that they normally can do or get, and it's no longer available to them, they're being oppressed. Okay? When we can shake our heads and laugh and say,
no,
"Oh, you have
no." You know why I'm smiling? Because I'm thinking of all the videos that I've seen over the last couple of weeks where white women have gone off, like flipping counters and
the Karens, all the Karens.
Okay, well, see, you said it, I didn't, right?
I did.
How they are flipping out, and it's just like, God. I mean, I've gotten angry when the UPS store didn't have foam either, but is that how we roll? Like, is that
right?
So I'm smiling because there is visible video. There's something I can see and hear that lets me know that obviously what you're saying is real. And it's not that it's funny. I actually think it's a bit sad because that's privilege. Privilege is I can tear up a UPS store because you don't know how to find the address that I want to send my mother's package to. How stupid are you? We're in the middle of a pandemic and you're inconvenienced because you're yelling and screaming and you're being video recorded. But that's privilege because there's no way. Let me tell you how
if it was flipped. And by the way, I know I'm privileged because I know as the only white man in my grocery store, when I go and get groceries, I am absolutely treated differently than the black lady and the black man and everybody else. And they're all cool with me. They give me a pass, man. I don't wear that badge proudly. It just happens, right? And that's the thing that white people don't get.
It doesn't just happen. See,
it doesn't.
It doesn't just happen. So here's what it is. Black America is as indoctrinated that, let me tell you what I told a group of white people online, because I have been doing a lot of conversations in love, because I've gotten angry about the situation. But when I communicate, I don't want you to ever focus on my delivery. I want you to hear me.
For sure.
The thing about it is that I lost my train of thought. We were talking about, you being treated differently. Okay, so the thing is that Black America is indoctrinated too. I remember waiting tables and we all wanted the white customers. Oh, because they tip better. Sweet Jesus. We all wanted the white customers because they tip better. The truth is that's not true. That's not true. Although it's funny because as human beings, we love saying, so Josh, I got to tell you something. Ingrid Thorpe says she wants you to just listen and learn. She looks like
Okay,
a
well,
fellow.
I'm. That's what I'm here to do.
Okay, Ingrid,
You
Josh heard you. We're on this. So Black America is indoctrinated too, and the saying we have in Black America is, "If it ain't white, it ain't right." How many Black people have heard, "If it ain't white, it ain't right"? How about you, Eileen?
Yup.
That's our saying. If it ain't white, it ain't right, which means if it's whatever's white, it goes, right? And so that's the message. It's just like your kids, Josh. And so let me tell you, you can do more than just tell a fellow person when you run into them. Josh, you have kids in the school system. You can go to your school board meetings and demand and rally parents that the school book publishers right now, while the race conversation is happening, demand that they change the history book so that your children are not robbed like you were. Demand that. Josh, nobody is asking you at all. Listen, I'm Black and I wasn't out there with a sign on the picket line. I mean, on the protesting and all. I wasn't, but that was my choice. I advocate differently. We all have a calling. We all have a thing, our lane. My lane is dialogue, conversation, education, communication, but I'm also about action. I really like to do what I say I'm going to do. It makes me feel better. I get to sleep better at night. So, Josh, there is something you can do, and it's just one thing at a time. You got kids in the school system. Let me see your social studies book. Ask the school system right now, while the school year is not in, what's the plan for next year in the history book for my kids? I do not want my kids going to social studies and not learning about Black people. I do not want my kids to live in a world where they are not aware. I'm their father and I'm just learning. How am I supposed to teach them what I didn't get? You, as parents, can force them. Josh, you don't have to save the world. Just one thing. What's the next best thing you can do?
Thank you. I mean, honestly, thank you, because this is just the start. I hope, because one dude in central Indiana deciding to jump into a video situation isn't going to do much. Maybe it will. I don't know. Maybe there's somebody listening tonight or watching tonight that it's going to make a difference on. It made a difference for me. Your thing made a difference for me. Your message made me tune in, dial in, whatever you want to call it right now. I wouldn't be here if I didn't hear some of the things that was resonating. I literally was just flipping through, and I've been in HR tech for 20 years.
Wow.
And people can't pay me enough to come out of the woodwork. But you got me. You got me right in the feels, and you got me right in the right there. you hooked me. And it goes like this, is that I'm not going to speak for all white people, just like you said earlier, you can't speak for all Black people. There's a few things that I've picked up along the way, which is, the word hood, right? I picked up earlier today something along the lines of, white people shouldn't say, we don't see color, right? That's awful, because you had pointed out earlier in your talk the same thing that I picked up, which was like, yeah, you do. You see me. You absolutely see my color. You absolutely see the differences between us. Let's recognize them. Let's talk through them. Let's at least recognize our heritage and our struggle. It might come from a different place, but it's there, right?
Yep.
And I think for the generations that I grew up in, which is the 70s, 80s, 90s, et cetera, early 2000s, it was, you never talked about who you voted for. You never talked about how much money you had in your bank. You never talked about your sexual orientation. You never talked about race. You never talked about, you just didn't talk about it.
Yeah.
And now we're at a point where we're not all talking about it. We're riding the streets about it. So if we can get to a point where we recognize that there, number one, are differences, that we can talk about them, and that we can do it somehow like this, I think that the world might end up being a little bit cooler.
Yes, Josh. And all you have to do is plant a seed. Look, for those of us who were brought up in the church, the mustard seed of faith, all I'm saying is, Josh, is that if you think about it this way, all you have to do is something.
Yep.
That's it, Josh. Nobody in their right mind in the Black community is expecting one white person to pick up the torch for us, because we know it is a concerted effort. The way it's a concerted effort to keep us down is the way it's a concerted effort to help us be lifted. Josh, there is no difference between you and I other than our skin color, and race is a construct. Josh, I have O positive blood. I can give blood to anybody, right? And the American Red Cross never lets me forget it. Josh, if you needed blood, independent of your blood type, they'd be ringing me up, all O positive people, if they couldn't find your specific blood type, trying to donate. Nobody says, well, is that, look, nowadays, I don't think it's as bad. You know, did that blood come from a Black person? You got to think about those things, right? Like,
did that happen?
Oh, yeah.
Josh, yes.
It happened?
Yes.
Like, we might need to send you a list.
Okay, so you took me to
Josh,
school
we
again.
might need to send you a list of things to watch, read.
Oh,
just to
send
really...
it to all the white people. No one knows.
No, there's so much information out there for you to first get educated. And I think once you do, you will have a perspective like, oh my gosh, this is what they're talking about. Like,
oh, Josh, yes.
So much that's so deep rooted.
Oh, Josh, I want you to just watch Hidden Colors. Listen, let me tell you. Now, I just want to warn you, some of it's a little rough for some of us Black folks. It's a lot of truth. But let me tell you, if you can get through stuff like 13 and Hidden Colors, those are really raw emotions from Black people who are saying to you, you robbed us of the world of our history. So here it is. Here it is. Tell the truth. Tell the truth, right? And so it's tell the truth. It is tell the truth so that we can get past it, because we are told that we need education to move and to grow and to propel ourselves and to move forward and to be a better society and all this good stuff. The same thing applies when it comes to miseducation of races. This is tearing us down. Anybody with children who is listening to this, you are handing off an awful world to your children. You are handing them an awful, awful place to be. Whether you believe in all the other things that are ruining the world, at minimum, the race relations in this country will ruin your children. We watched days of rioting. Let me tell you, you know how those, okay, so you know those, okay, remember when COVID happened and there was a movie that Gwyneth Paltrow was in and everybody was like,
Contagion movie.
When everybody watched Contagion about 5 or so years ago, I know that people thought, oh, that's crazy. That movie makers are so good. These plots. Who knew Contagion would be real in 2020? We were living Contagion. So I need you to envision that I know those Will Smith movies and all those other movies that we see. COVID has shown me in my lifetime that anything is possible. That anything is possible, because we now were locked in our homes for months. None of us are safe. We're wearing masks so we don't infect each other. We are living contagion in real life. And so what I'm saying to you is that if we can be here with a global health pandemic, if you don't think that rioting and protesting and whatever you want to call it, the uprising won't tear your children's world out. Oh man, how could anybody deny that there's a possibility? And so wouldn't you want to put your best foot forward, if nothing else, being motivated by the kids or the people that you're going to leave behind? But plus, I plan on living at least another 50 to 60. I don't want to be a part of a jacked up world. Listen, I would rather not be talking about white people. Listen, because in the Black community, we say things like, oh, Josh could come to the barbecue. I want to say it because you really can come to the barbecue, not because you said something so left from what we consider mainstream white.
Usually it's, hey, where's Josh?
Well, right, Josh, you're invited to the barbecue. And that's the point is, I don't want those things to be an outlier. I really don't. And so, Josh, this conversation was impromptu. I have had everybody for 2 hours. I cannot believe this. It's 10 o'clock at night and I still have folks on. So what I want to say is Josh, you got to come back. So
I'll do it.
If you're
You
not, if we're not connected on LinkedIn, Josh, please make sure that happens.
Yeah.
I have too many people on LinkedIn, so they now like make me prove it by email addresses. It's a whole big thing. So yes, please connect with me. I just want to say thank you, Eileen, for jumping on.
Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you, Josh.
No. I want to take a minute and just thank you for doing this. Thanks everyone for bearing with me. I'm still feeling my way. I think like a lot of what white folks are, maybe I just had the guts to jump in with both feet and just try to see if I could learn a thing. And I think that, I don't know, maybe that's leadership at the moment. I don't know. I'm not going to pat myself on the back for that. I'm just trying to be a servant, try to learn something, and try to take it to my home and my community and my workplace. I'm a big fan on compliance. I'm a big fan. You get back to HR, right? I'm like the compliance dude. OFCCP and EEO. I've been through 2,000 audits in the last 5 years, right?
I just died a little bit inside, Josh. HR people are like, Josh, we don't want to hear about that.
Right. But it's all about, it's everything that it's weird because compliance numbers, EEOC numbers, OFCCP numbers, all the enforcement and everything else, it's the law saying you shall not discriminate. And if I've been behind that for 10 years. And so in practice, in HR, this is the stuff you need to be scared of. And I had mentioned earlier in the Facebook chat that it's like the EEO1 reports. You want to see those diversity numbers? You want to see the workforce demographic makeup? You better provide me with those EEO1. You better break that down for me.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. So, I mean, for me, I'm just grateful that you came. But y'all, this professional light is cooking a sister. I mean, I am having a nice golden brown time right here. So I just want to thank everybody for being here. I am super grateful that I got to just share how I was feeling because I didn't have very many places to put it. And I'm grateful for this platform that I've built, but really I only facilitated HR Girlfriends. It's like the folks, man, y'all come through and this is going to continue. We're going to keep having conversations. Yes, LinkedIn is a place for you to talk about race respectfully. I'm not going to disrespect you on Facebook. That's just not my style. I don't have ridiculousness there and I'm not going to be ridiculous on LinkedIn. But if we have to talk about race, we have to talk about race. That's just what it is. So I will see you guys very soon. It's 10 p.m. on the Eastern Standard Time.
Thank
and I'm
you.
out of here. Thank you guys. Bye.